So what we have right now, this is quad Cortex. This is a HOTONE Amperer expression pedal. It's on a Temple Audio Solo 18 board, and a Nanuk 935 case. Now I'm going to drop a little more of the foam, I think. Basically, it closes perfectly well. I mean, that little resistance there, it does that anyway when there's nothing in it. So it's not actually the quad Cortex, but the foam is, you know, does sort of hit this corner. Now, someone suggested to me that I put the whole rig in the other way around, which is fine, you know, that's okay, but that doesn't work for me aesthetically, or you know, in a kind of OCD or whatever the right terminology is. I want to be able to open the case and the thing be facing me, so I can then lift it out and plonk it on the stage, and you know, all that. So where we go from here, I think this top layer of foam, because it had to be cut completely through, which was easy. Now, so one of the things with this foam business, right, the top layer of foam was pretty easy to mark out, and of course I used guitar picks, but to mark out and then start pulling the foam out, because I was going all the way through. You can literally start kind of just pulling out, you know, the foam, and it didn't take long at all. Where the problem occurred is, not a problem, but where a difficulty that I wasn't aware of, because I've never done this pick and pluck type foam before, it was in the second layer of foam. I needed to remove a sort of cube's worth of depth, and the foam isn't really perforated in that way. The way that it's perforated along the kind of horizontal and you know, along these two axes, it's not perforated through the strata. You know, it doesn't have strata, so it's not very easy to pick out, or kind of you know, I'll show you what I mean. Right, let me just get the thing out. Hang on a second. Right, so here we have the mid layer of foam, which is a sort of another sort of full thickness piece. Now you notice that I've taken the base layer out. This is because the sort of the form factor of the cuts on here were sufficient so that it still misses the wheel wells and the handle well, and just gives you another little sort of bit of capacity. And that base layer of foam, I've just kept it to one side. I don't you know, in case I need it some other time. But so as you can see with this, I've had to cut the foam just out on this sort of level. Is, you know, it's pretty rough and ready, but I did it with a scalpel, basically a surgical scalpel. And at this point, I had to kind of obviously cut into the part where there's no cubes anyway. So this is how the board fits in, obviously, and it just lowers the level of the whole thing a little bit. But there's no. I did think that it might be stratified, you know, so that so that this amount of foam would be easy to come out, and it just isn't like that. So in order to kind of do a sort of custom depth, so to speak, rather than go all the way through, well, I had to do it like I said, with a scalpel, and trying to keep the level. I actually got a decent technique now. As you could probably see, that I started this end, and as I got further along, I got a little bit more sort of, it became a bit easier to do. Although this looks a bit dodgy, doesn't it? Anyway, it serves the purpose, and it does actually leave me a little bit of depth. If I wanted to put anything under here, I could. I'd have to be very exacting with the thing. But what I might do is actually take a little bit more out, just so that it drops a smidge more. So as you can see with the top layer put back in, you can see that it's just a tiny bit dropped. That's because the base layer has been taken out. So that just gives me just a tiny bit more capacity in terms of how high the quad cortex sits. And there we go. And then we can pop the board in there, and it fits rather nice and snug like that. And the case closes, and it's not a lot of, there's no, you know, that like I said, that resistance there is kind of there anyway, even when it's closed. I did wonder whether it was, you know, the quad, but you know, even if I take the top foam out and you get all that extra clearance, you can do this, it still does the same thing. It's not really that's the issue. Not in a big way anyway. It's nothing. I have determined that it's not a massive issue anyway, but I might drop it just a tiny bit more. Now I'll show you the underside of the board.